Okay, so this is a video I never thought I'd be making on my new channel, but because there was a point in time where I was really sick of talking about this fight because everybody and their mother was talking about it left, right, up, and down everywhere you looked. But I do want to talk about Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford a little bit here. Now, first of all, Errol Spence ran out of the ring like a bitch last night. He ran like a bitch. He was tough and typical Twitter tough guy, the whole bonanza, right? Typical Twitter, YouTube, Instagram badass talking about how he was going to get up in the ring after the fight and get in Crawford's face if he won and yada, 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 yada. When he saw the result, he went running for the hills. Kind of reminds me of another scenario a couple of years ago where Floyd was considering having a rematch with Pacquiao, and he sat ringside at Keith Thurman, and we all know what happened there. Errol Spence has no fucking balls whatsoever. I don't know why the man hasn't been stripped of his 2 welterweight titles yet. He's literally been holding the division up for the past 2 years. First, because of his car crash, which, you know, I've flipped cars before when I was drunk. I've crashed cars before when I was drunk. It happens. But if you're a millionaire, you have somebody drive for you. It's that simple. I'm not a millionaire. I had a, you guys already know the deal. So Errol Spence he ran like a coward last night. He ran like a coward. And he, and he, he's been ducking this fight for the past 3.5 years, man. I mean, you guys have to remember, let's rewind the clocks a little bit. And I used to talk about this on my old channel. The initial thing to make the Crawford and Spence fight happen was Crawford won undisputed at 140. He has to move up to 147 and win a title at 147. He did that. Now, he should have been fighting Pacquiao. We all know Pacquiao got robbed in the Jeff Horn fight, but whatever. Jeff Horn got the horrible decision, but Jeff Horn got the decision. Crawford moved up, whipped his ass, and won the title. After that, the excuses started coming out with Errol Spence. He did what he said he needed to do, and then Errol Spence started coming up with excuses. I don't like the cut of the money. I want an 80-20%. You're on the wrong side of the street, etc., so forth. Then after the car crash and all that other hoopla, he fights Gatekeeper Dan, outpoints him, then gets scheduled to fight Manny Pacquiao and fakes an eye injury and ducks a 43-year-old Manny Pacquiao, who a young Pacquiao would have destroyed both of them, but, that Pacquiao, he probably would have had a nice chance of beating a 43-year-old Pacquiao who hadn't fought in 2 years. But that being said, he didn't have the courage to get in there with him, so we'll never know, will we? Young Pacquiao would have killed him, but but and that's I've already made several videos about that. But that's what it is, people. The dude's a fucking chump. He's been a chump, bro. And this is the other thing. This is another thing, bro. Errol Spence dresses flashy. He wants to be a hood superstar so bad, Errol Spence. But Crawford actually is a hood superstar. That's the problem. And you can tell, like I say, man, I tell you guys all this all the time. Authentic recognizes authentic. Real recognizes real, bro. Crawford's actually from the shit. Spence ain't. He had mommy and daddy taking him to football practice while Crawford was out slanging pistols and shit. You understand? Slanging pistols on his way back home from walking back from the boxing gym. There's a difference, people. You understand? And I'm going to tell you something I've also been saying since day one. Crawford knocks Errol Spence the fuck out. Said that way back in 2017 on my old channel. even before I made my old channel, because I made my old channel started in about June or somewhere in 2018, and I ended it in April of this year. So it was about, I had it for about 2-3 years, right? Little under 3 years, right? Said it way back then. Crawford beats the shit out of Spence. And I know what you're going to say. Well, Porter gave Crawford a tough fight. He gave Spence a tough fight. How do you know that? Well, why did Porter give Spence a tough fight? Because Errol Spence is flat-footed. Porter's awkward. He gave Crawford a tough fight for the same reasons. When Crawford and Spence meet in the ring, the only thing Errol's going to be able to do is jab. As long as Crawford gets around his jab, it's a wrap. I've been saying that for a long time. Especially when you take into account that the man's been out of the ring. He's only had one fight in 2.5 years against Gatekeeper Dan. You know, he's flipping cars over. His reactions aren't the same. You know, to be honest with you, man, because we all know that Errol Spence's bitch ass ain't going to take the fight to begin with. I think the fight to make, you know, we already know he's not going to take the fight, people. We already know this. And anybody with a brain knows it as well. So, in my opinion, the fight to make right now is Crawford versus Josh Taylor. Like Grandpa Bob told you. I mean, that's not two top 5 welterweights. No. That's 2 top 5 guys in the pound for pound. 2 top 5 pound for pounders. Not 2 top 5 welterweights. That's 2 top 5 pound for pounders. So I think, Josh Taylor's got his mandatory in February. In my opinion, that's the fight to make right there, people. I think if Teofimo recovers his nuts, of course, Bob Arum could be looking at a really good 2022. He had a great 2021. I think he did the best job of the big 3 this year. Imagine him putting on, if Teofimo finds his nuts again, imagine him putting on Loma Teofimo 2 and then Taylor and Crawford. It's a wrap, people. You understand? But yeah, we all know Errol Spence doesn't have the nuts to take the fight. And if it's not going to be Josh Taylor, then have Ugas and Crawford fight. That would be another great fight and a unification on top of it. If Errol Spence wants to sit on his ass and play games and go look for a new eyeball, then make Crawford and Ugas. Because Ugas, unlike Spence, actually has balls. He's a gangster. He's a Cuban gangster. He'll get in there and fight anybody. He beat Porter, in my opinion, and he beat an older Pacquiao. It was an old Pacquiao, but, still got a couple of good wins under his resume, nevertheless. So if either Josh Taylor or Ugas, because we all know Spence doesn't have the harder balls to get in there with him, man. He doesn't. And if you go back and look at the facts that I've just laid out for you here, and you can go back and pull all this shit up, the dates from 2018 on, it's self-explanatory that he doesn't want to fight this guy. Errol Spence does not want to fight Terrence Crawford, bro. He never has. And all you really need to do is look at what happened when they got face-to-face. What do I always tell you? Don't go to the body, bitch. I'm going to knock your ass the fuck out. Well, it's Man Down Promotion, Joe. Tell Bob to call out. Like Crawford told you, there was no this side of the street, that side of the street when Loma fought Linares, Golden Boy and Top Rank. There was no this side of the street, that side of the street when Crawford and Porter fight. There was no this side of the street, that side of the street when Fury and Wilder fought 2 or 3 times. So I don't want to hear that neither. Point blank. But point being, Errol Spence just needs, he either needs to fight Ugas or he needs to fight Crawford, not Ugas, but he needs to fight or drop or be stripped of his welterweight titles. Pure and simple, people. Pure and simple. He's been holding this division up for the past 2 years. Just like Teofimo's doing with the lightweight titles right now. Point blank, people. Point blank. With that being said, though, Crawford will beat the shit out of Spence. I've said it for the past 3-4 years now, bro. Been saying it for a long time. Now, with that being said, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. God bless you all and have a wonderful day. Go Packers. Salute.